A pale blue gas giant loomed in the distance, its storm-laced rings casting long shadows across the Council flagship Judicator star. Inside its command deck, Admiral Caleb Vrax stood motionless, arms clasped behind his back, eyes locked on the starfield. The silence in the chamber wasn't from awe, it was caution. Something about this system felt off. No enemy ships, no planetary defense stations, no electromagnetic chatter. The planet below, Sindari 4, was deserted, a ghost rock. And yet, the Council's intelligence reports were clear. Earth's forces had funneled their logistics through this system just days ago. Now, nothing. Vrax's top tactical officer, Subcommander Outwitted, glanced at the empty tactical readout and frowned. Admiral, all sensor sweeps confirm the system is uninhabited. No warp signatures in the last 72 hours. And yet, Vrax said slowly, his voice gravel and disdain, they were here. Humans are clever, but not clever enough to vanish entirely. He turned away from the viewport. The Judicator's bridge hummed with restrained tension. Beneath its pristine, gilded consoles and high council elegance was a crew on edge. They had expected resistance. Bombastic, naive Earth resistance. A show of weapons and hot-blooded defiance. Not this quiet. On the far side of the bridge, a silent ping flickered briefly on the secondary scanner, a ghost signal. It lasted less than 2 seconds, then vanished. Too faint to analyze. Too strange to ignore. Did anyone else see that? Asked Outwitted, glancing up. Likely a sensor echo, offered a junior technician, already dismissing it. Vrax narrowed his eyes. Run a diagnostic. Full sweep. Use manual verification protocols. If the humans are here, they are hiding. Outside, in the dark, beneath the shadow of a cratered moon, a single probe rotated slowly in its socket. It hadn't broadcast its presence. It didn't emit. It listened. Beneath its carbon weave casing, a single AI directive blinked awake, *** execute phase 2. ***. Deep beneath Sindari 4's surface, hidden within a long-forgotten mining shaft, Captain Elias Rourke crouched beside a flickering holomap, sweat dampening the collar of his black pressure suit. He was alone but for the voice of Lieutenant Devon Graves, crackling through an encrypted earpiece. They've entered high orbit, sir, Graves reported from a hidden relay station. They think the system's clear. Perfect, Rourke muttered. He tapped a control node and brought up a cascade of pulsing data, signal relays, AI blind spots, a false planetary gravity distortion in Sector 3.7. Keep passive monitoring only. They twitch too soon, they might sniff us. Graves chuckled. Still can't believe they bought the ghost station trick. They don't study asymmetry, Rourke said quietly. That's their flaw. They assume superiority equals control. They see brute force as a solution, not leverage. He rose, the cramped shelter groaning slightly under shifting tectonic stress. Outside, miles of jagged black rock insulated their position. To the Council's fleet above, the base was nothing but geothermal noise and empty stone. Rourke moved like a man pacing an old battlefield, aware of every contour, every trap he'd laid. Years of preparation had brought him here, and all it had taken was convincing the most arrogant military force in the galaxy that Earth didn't understand war. He thought briefly of Major Ashby, his mentor back at the Military Intelligence Academy, shaking his head as Rourke tore apart ancient Council strategies and rebuilt them from the inside. You're wasting your time on ghosts, Ashby had warned. The Council doesn't think like us. They don't need to. But that was the point. The Council never had to evolve. They ruled by mass, by tech, by dominance. Earth had evolved under pressure. Adapt or die, that was the human condition. Phase 2 initiated. Graves confirmed in his false comms are live. They are detecting phantom chatter from a non-existent fleet. Rourke smiled. Not wide, not smug, just a quiet curl of satisfaction. He tapped into the relay and monitored the Council's encrypted command channel. He shouldn't have access. And yet he did. Their security protocols had long since been mapped, analyzed, and mimicked. They believed their language was safe. Their tech, untouchable. But Rourke had learned long ago that the most complex systems broke down under simple, well-placed lies. Aboard the Judicator Vrax's screen lit up. multiple faint warp signatures, human in origin, flashing on the outskirts of the system. They are running, Alishon declared. Warp trails suggest a fleeing fleet. They were here. Your instincts were correct, Admiral. Vrax exhaled, pleased. Prepare pursuit. Dispatch the forward wings. If they are retreating, we'll crush them before they regroup. Should we alert the rear units? No. Let us handle this. Earth's cowardice is a stain I intend to wipe myself. In his shelter, Rourke watched the Council fleet divide and stretch itself thin, as he'd planned. Each of their wings now followed phantom signals generated by Earth's simplest AI drones masked in distorted human comms. Soon, they'd enter the gravity traps, zones where their ship systems would slow just enough for the next phase. Rourke adjusted a tiny dial beside the main screen. Activate codeword. Ferret. Across the system, a silent series of drones blinked online. Their jobs were not to fight. They jammed, looped, mimicked. A Council ship receiving 50 valid Earth signals couldn't shoot them all. It would hesitate, misfire, second-guess. Just long enough. Back in orbit, the Judicator experienced its first disruption. Navigation systems reported inconsistencies. Thrusters wavered. The map of the system became unstable. Alishon turned sharply. We're being jammed. Sir, our tactical systems are recalibrating mid-battle. That's impossible, Vrax growled. Human interference confirmed. He stared at the display. Ghost fleets. Malfunctioning ships. No enemy weapons. Just confusion, and doubt, and silence. Then a voice cut through the command deck's main console, Earth Standard English, clean, smooth, and deliberate. Admiral Kayla Vrax, it said, you've entered a trap design before you even knew this system existed. You won't find an army. You'll find your own reflection, scattered, blind, and predictable. Vrax's jaw clenched. Rourke muted the comms and leaned back in his chair. His breath slowed. His eyes stayed fixed on the star map above. The Council thought war was about strength. But war had never been about strength. It had always been about knowing the next move before your enemy even sat at the board. And this board? It was his. The rain in New London fell like broken glass, slicing through the sky with a metallic hiss that reminded Elias Rourke of orbital debris. He sat beneath the Academy's arched veranda, staring out over the drill fields where cadets marched in perfect lines, their uniforms spotless, their eyes hollow. All except one, a tall, broad-shouldered man jogging alone on the perimeter path, late, out of sync, and completely unconcerned about it. Still studying Council battle reports. Major Jordan Ashby's voice broke the silence, sharp as the weather. He dropped onto the bench beside Rourke, shaking droplets from his coat like a dog shedding war stories. Rourke nodded, not looking up. The tablet in his lap displayed an ancient Council engagement, one from their war against the Hegari Swarm. He'd been watching the same 2-minute loop for 3 hours. Ashby tilted his head. You do realize they won that war without losing a single dreadnought. I'm not looking at how they won, Rourke replied, zooming in on the fleet formation. I'm looking at the 5 seconds right before the first strike. They turned too early. Ashby snorted. So, they anticipated resistance that didn't come. That pivot gave them a 30-degree blind spot for almost 10 seconds. The swarm didn't see it, but we would have. You think the Council makes mistakes? I think they make assumptions, Rourke said, and I think assumptions break. Ashby stared at him a long moment, the lines on his weathered face twitching in the rain light. You weren't top of your class because you memoized textbooks. But I'll tell you this once, we don't win wars with trivia. We win with force. I'm not interested in winning the *next war, Rourke murmured. I'm interested in winning the *last one again. But differently. The rain intensified, turning the drill field into a mirror of blurred figures and soaking boots. Ashby rose, saying nothing more, and walked back toward the main complex. Rourke remained, eyes on the replay, watching ghosts dance. 3 years later, in the steel-bone interior of Earth's Covert Operations Chamber, Rourke stood over a holo table surrounded by men who neither liked him nor trusted him, but all of them listened. His voice, though quiet, carried the weight of someone who had already won, just not officially. The Council does not believe we are a tactical threat. They see Earth as adaptable, not strategic. Emotional, not calculating. Every simulation we've run confirms one thing. They expect a fight, not a trick. Across from him, Commander Lucian Hargrove, a broad-chested naval officer with silver-threaded hair, crossed his arms. You're suggesting we don't meet them with ships. I'm suggesting we meet them with ideas Rourke replied. They want us to flex muscle, so we give them ghosts instead. Decoys, false warp signatures. Phantom comes. We turn their arrogance into misdirection. Lieutenant Devon Graves, seated to Rourke's right, tapped a sequence on the control pad. A star map bloomed above the table, littered with red council markers and flickering blue Earth signals, most of which were fakes. Graves grinned. They'll be chasing shadows so long, they'll forget what real looks like. Hargrove's jaw worked a second before he spoke. If this fails, the entire fleet, our real one, will be vulnerable. If this fails, Rourke said calmly, you will have a reason to fire me, but you won't get the chance. For a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, Hargrove leaned forward and placed his fingerprint on the authorization panel. Then we build your trap. I hope you're right, Captain. Outside the chamber, in the shadow of low-orbit satellites, Earth's secret arsenal stirred to life. Ships that didn't exist were born from coded simulations and cloaked relays. Rourke's network of AI-driven jammers, decoy drones, and hacked council algorithms began shaping the battlefield long before the first shot would be fired. Weeks passed. The Council's exploratory fleet grew bolder, probing into Earth's neutral systems with increasing contempt. Their analysts declared Earth too fragmented to pose a coordinated threat. The Council's military dispatches used terms like containment, demonstration, and compliance when referring to the human race. Rourke read every word, logged every insult, and embedded it into his counterplan. Late one night, as moonlight slanted through the tactical lab's glass ceiling, Rourke sat alone again. His fingers danced across a console, modifying the final piece, a digital voice-sprint overlay that would mimic Council authority codes, enough to intercept or even override certain mid-tier ship commands. It wouldn't last long, but a few seconds in battle meant everything. Graves entered silently, carrying 2 mugs of what passed for coffee in their pressure-sealed bunkers. He offered one, then leaned on the table beside him. You ever wonder if you're too deep in it? Rourke took the mug. Always. You sleep. When I forget something. Graves gave a lopsided smirk. You think this is going to work? Rourke turned to him, eyes sharp but not unkind. I think the only reason we're still here is because our enemies don't understand how hard we're willing to fight without showing a single gun. Spoken like a man who's about to rob a bank with no bullets. I'm not robbing them. I'm teaching them a lesson they'll never forget. Graves raised his mug in a silent toast. To making history. No, Rourke said, tilting his head toward the stars. To rewriting it. The moment lingered, quiet and electric, before the distant hum of an alert system whispered from the comms. A council fleet had entered Sindari space. The trap was now a heartbeat away from springing. The stars above Sindari shimmered with unnatural flickers as the council's first wing dropped into high orbit. 12 ships, sleek and bone-white, cut through space like surgical blades. Each one hummed with the confidence of centuries, ships that had never known failure. Inside the command deck of the Judicator Admiral Caleb Vrax watched the projected warp trails with predatory intent. To his officers, the data suggested a fleeing Earth fleet. To him, it was a signal, proof that humanity still clung to the childish notion of escape. Subcommanders, he said, his voice quiet but cold as forged steel, begin pursuit vectors. Fan out. Let none slip beyond the system's edge. Across the fleet, the Council ships obeyed. They deployed into clusters, forming net-like patterns meant to corral Earth's vessels into predictable escape lanes. But there were no vessels. Only projections. Only echoes. In the shadows of a nearby asteroid belt, Commander Lucian Hargrove stood aboard the Artemis Earth's lead stealth cruiser, watching the Council's response unfold with grim satisfaction. Around him, his officers worked in practiced silence. They knew the stakes. They knew the game. And above all, they trusted Rourke. They are splitting their formation, Hargrove noted, eyes fixed on the tactical display. just like he said they would. Lieutenant Devon Graves, appearing via CQ uplink from the surface outpost, grinned. Of course they are. You wave a fake fleet in their face, and they start chasing it like hungry dogs. Hargrove allowed himself the briefest nod. Keep feeding the movement. Shift the phantom warp trails every 30 seconds. Add some heat bloom variations. Already ahead of you, Graves replied, tapping furiously on his terminal. I'm even mixing in some garbled Earth transmissions. Makes it look like we're panicking. They'll believe it, Hargrove said. They always do. Miles below, in the cavernous silence of the mining shaft-turned command bunker, Elias Rourke watched the enemy disperse. His expression was unreadable, eyes tracking every trajectory, every reaction. He wasn't watching ships, he was watching behavior. They are not adapting, he thought. They are reacting. It was a critical difference. The Council had never been taught to second-guess. Their victories came from supremacy, not agility. Once the illusion of control slipped, they lost their rhythm. And Rourke was the kind of man who wrote entire victories on moments just like that. Phase 3, he said, barely above a whisper. Initiate. Across the system, 24 Earth drones burst from concealment within asteroid fields and magnetically shielded satellites. Each one emitted sensor noise mimicking destroyers and cruisers. The Council's scanners lit up like a neural storm, overwhelmed with conflicting data. Aboard the Judicator Vrax's eyes narrowed. Multiple new warp signatures detected, Sector Theta, Delta, and Epsilon. Impossible, Outwitted muttered. That would put their fleet at triple our predicted strength. No, they are bluffing, Vrax snapped. Scramble reckon. Confirm visuals. I want firing solutions on every target within the next 2 minutes. But sir, one officer said hesitantly, the new signals, some are reading as Council class vessels. Everyone paused. Vrax's glare could have boiled stone. Say that again. I double-checked. We're receiving cross signals. IFF confusion. Several of our ships are being misidentified as human. On the Artemis Hargrove grinned. They're shooting at themselves, aren't they? Not yet, Graves replied, but they are about to. He switched feeds to a live visual, a Council frigate and a battlecruiser drifting toward each other, both with weapons powered up, both detecting the other as hostile. Council war doctrine demands instant suppression of unknown signals, Rourke said, watching from his own terminal. They'll fire to assert dominance, even at shadows. And fire they did. The frigate opened up with a plasma broadside. The battlecruiser responded with shielding and a retaliatory pulse beam. Alarms erupted across both vessels as system logs attempted to reconcile the contradiction, both thinking they'd been ambushed by Earth. Across the fleet, chaos began to bloom. Fire teams responded to non-existent boarding signals. Drone sentries activated at random. Artificial intelligences tried and failed to decipher the network-wide data inconsistencies. Ships turned. Ships twitched. Ships froze. In the Judicator Vrax slammed a fist into the command rail. Ceasefire. I want those systems purged and reset. This is a manipulation. A coordinated cyber attack. Sir, Outwitted said tightly, if we reset now, we'll lose full tactical response for at least 6 minutes. We'd be flying blind. I'm already blind, Vrax roared. Do it. In that moment of system-wide recalibration, when the fleet was half-deaf, half-blind, and wholly confused, Rourke deployed the final stage of the operation. 12 Black Hull Earth corvettes emerged from the shadows of Sindari's moon, running completely cold. No emissions, no signals, just silent precision. They slipped between the Council's outer patrols and disabled 4 ships with focused EMP torpedoes before vanishing again. It wasn't just a battle anymore. It was a lesson. On the Artemis Hargrove leaned forward. Should we engage fully? No, Rourke answered over the channel. We keep the illusion alive. Let them believe this was a hit-and-fade operation. They still think they are winning. The moment they realize we've outmaneuvered them, they'll retreat and retaliate. But if we press now? Not yet. Victory isn't the goal here. Not just yet. Then what is? Graves asked. Doubt, Rourke replied. We plant it so deep that the next time they look at Earth, they see a trap where there is none. The Judicator S systems came back online with a flicker. Tactical displays stabilized. The damage had been done. 4 ships disabled, 6 more thrown into confusion, and over 40% of the fleet engaged in friendly-fire diagnostics. Vrax stood perfectly still, lips pressed into a single, colorless line. We underestimated them, Outwitted said, stunned. They predicted our formation. They compromised our scans. Vrax turned slowly, eyes hard and distant. No, they humiliated us. The word hung in the air like a verdict. In the silence of the command bunker, Rourke exhaled softly. The pieces were moving exactly as planned. But he wasn't smiling. Not yet. Because the game wasn't over. It had only just begun. The silence inside the Judicator S command deck felt unnatural. Not the quiet of efficiency or discipline, but the void that followed failure. Admiral Kayla Vrax stood amid the shattered pride of the Council's first wing, his hands clasped so tightly behind his back that his gloves creaked. Dozens of eyes avoided his. Systems were restored. Communications relinked. The fleet had regained form. But something had broken, something far more dangerous than hardware. They're gone, Outwitted reported, voice low. Every Earth signature has vanished. No trace of warp trails. No heat bloom. Nothing. They didn't vanish, Vrax said. They were never here, star. The words hung like a confession. He had chased ghosts, fired on his own, lost ships to shadows. And the worst part, the part he could not say aloud, was that he had never even seen the enemy. They must have used cloaking tech beyond our classification, a junior officer offered, hoping to sound useful. Vrax said nothing. He was thinking not of ships or systems, but of the voice that had echoed through his command systems. The man behind the curtain. Calm, calculating, contemptuous. A human. Rourke. Aboard the Artemis cloaked just beyond the system's edge, Lucien Hargrove watched the Council ships drift into slow retreat formations. Their postures betrayed the truth. The Great First Wing had lost its appetite for war. They are pulling back, Graves confirmed from the relay channel. Minimal chatter. No pursuit. Rourke stood behind Hargrove, arms folded, eyes locked on the tactical display. He didn't speak immediately. He watched each movement, reading their fear the way others read maps. They'll call it a tactical withdrawal, Hargrove said. They'll call it whatever lets them sleep, Rourke answered. But they won't forget. Hargrove turned, studying him. It worked. Every step of it. We won. No. Rourke said softly. We exposed them. That's different. Then what now? Rourke paused. He wasn't smiling. He didn't look proud. He looked heavy, like a man who'd lifted a weight only to realize it never ends. They'll regroup, he said, study what went wrong. And they'll realize it wasn't just tech or tactics. It was thinking. The way we think, adapt, improvise, misdirect. That scares them more than weapons ever could. On the Judicator Vrax stood alone in his personal chamber, staring at the recorded transmission, the message that had played mid-battle, now replaying again on loop. You entered a trap designed before you even knew this system existed. He had it analyzed by linguistic algorithms, tonal inflection programs, even psychological patterning software. But all of it came to the same conclusion. Confidence. Not arrogance. Not desperation. Confidence rooted in preparation. He clenched his jaw. Somewhere out there, this human, this Rourke, was still watching. Waiting. Admiral, Outwitted's voice came through the calm, hesitant. The High Council has requested immediate contact. I'll answer when I'm ready, Vrax growled. Understood. One more thing, long-range sensors have picked up residual code fragments across multiple vessels. Code. Yes, sir. Sophisticated signal interference patterns, embedded with countermeasures and mimicry software. It appears Earth's fleet was inside our systems for longer than we thought. Vrax stared at the blinking light on his desk. His pride burned, but beneath it, something colder settled into place. Respect. Not admiration, never that, but the kind of respect one reserves for a beast you thought extinct, only to find it stalking your campfire. 5 from Sindari, Deep within Earth's orbital defense network, Rourke sat alone in a darkened chamber, reviewing footage from the operation. One by one, he marked each Council ship that had misfired, each that had frozen, each that had retreated. His expression remained unreadable. Major Ashby's old voice echoed in memory. Asterisk, we don't win wars with trivia. We win with force. Asterisk. And yet, force had never been part of the plan. He heard the door slide open behind him. Graves stepped in, holding a datapad. Fleet Command just confirmed. Council ships have fully exited the system. No pursuit. No reinforcements. Rourke nodded. Graves hesitated. And the recordings. Already packaged, Rourke said. Let the galaxy see. Let them all know Earth didn't fire a single salvo, and still made the Council run. There was a long pause between them. Then Graves asked, quieter this time, why didn't we finish them? You could have crippled half their fleet while they scrambled. Rourke finally turned from the screen. Because that's what they expect. Violence. Revenge. They'd turn it into a crusade. And now they doubt. Not just us, but themselves. He stepped past Graves and out into the corridor beyond, silent, polished, humming with unseen power. Officers nodded as he passed, none speaking, all understanding. Rourke wasn't a commander of ships. He was a commander of thought. In the weeks that followed, the transmission went viral across neutral worlds. Footage of Council ships firing at each other, of Rourke's voice slicing through their proud silence, of entire wings turning against phantom threats. It spread like wildfire. Allies whispered. Enemies reconsidered. Former colonies began to speak more boldly. A single human had outwitted the most dominant force in the galaxy without drawing blood. In the High Council's spire, diplomats and generals argued furiously behind closed doors. Vrax was recalled but not punished. The Council needed a scapegoat, but they also needed a weapon. One with experience. One who had seen what humanity could do. And Vrax, for all his hatred, knew one truth better than any of them. Earth had changed the rules. In a quiet memorial chamber atop Earth's highest orbital tower, Rourke stood alone before a black wall etched with names. Not of the dead, but of the ignored. Strategists, analysts, unconventional thinkers. Men who'd seen the shape of the enemy long before it appeared. Graves approached behind him, not speaking at first. Then softly, you think they'll come again? They have to, Rourke said. We embarrass them. They won't let it stand. You have a plan. Rourke smiled, just faintly. They're still playing chess. I'm already on another board. He turned and walked into the light, not triumphant, but ready, because this war had never been about muscle. It had always been about mind, and Earth had just proved it was the sharpest one in the galaxy.